Hello everyone, welcome to today's session. The topic for today's session will be Java Swing. So I'll be introducing what Java Swing is. At the end of this session, you will be able to create a simple user form using Java Swing framework. So Swing is basically a framework created for Java, created in Java language for creating Java applications.
But before we begin the session, make sure to subscribe to our channel and also hit on the bell icon so that you will never miss an update from us.
So the agenda for today's session will be the following topics. Firstly, I'll be introducing what Swing is. So what exactly it does, why it was created, all that stuff. Next, I'll be moving on to history of Swing, like who are its competitors and why it is the way it is. And next I'll be moving ahead with the class hierarchy diagram and explain the class hierarchy diagram. It is not as important, but still you need to be knowing about the hierarchy diagram in order for you to import certain packages. And lastly, I'll be explaining an example from scratch. So even though you don't even if you don't know anything about the Java language, I'll still be explaining the example from scratch so that anybody can follow along. And by me giving out this example, I'll be like wrapping up all the concepts that I have taught so that it's just all the theory just sticks in your mind. Now the first topic, what exactly is Swing? So Swing is a graphical user interface widget toolkit created for Java based applications. You can also say it is a graphical user interface or GUI framework for Java based applications. So it is a toolkit that contains several components like text box and buttons, labels, etc. So using all those components, pre-built components, you can build a user interface. And it is also a lightweight toolkit. Lightweight means that it is written entirely in Java and does the high level display by itself, which means if it is a heavyweight toolkit, it uses the underlying operating system to display the components. Since this is lightweight, it uses the Java based code, means the effort put on the operating system will be less, so this renders very quickly compared to heavyweight toolkits. So you can say Java Swing is faster compared to heavyweight toolkits. And it is a part of the Java Foundation classes and includes several packages for developing rich desktop applications in Java. Java Foundation classes basically contains three packages, that is the Java AWT Abstract Window Toolkit, Java Swing, and then Java 2D. So all these packages combined, they are basically used for creating graphical user interfaces in Java. Now, moving on to the history. As I've talked about AWT before, AWT stands for Abstract Window Toolkit, and this was Java's original toolkit or framework, you can say, for graphical user interface applications developed for Java based applications, and it was platform specific. Platform specific here means if you write a Java code, that is, if you write a Swing code and develop a user interface, if you run that Java code in Windows operating system, it will look like a Windows user interface. That is, it will have the look and feel of a Windows operating system window, that is a user interface. And if you run the same code on Mac operating system, it will have the look and feel of the Mac this thing, that is Mac widget. I mean, you know the difference between a window widget and a Mac widget, right? If you have used a Mac operating system, you might have known that both differ in the look and feel. So we can say AWT was platform specific, and many companies did not prefer this aspect of AWT because it affected their branding. So if they want to create an application and the application had a brand, that is, had a particular color scheme and a logo, all that stuff, and it used to look different in Windows, it used to look different when you run it on Mac, and it used to have a different look and feel when you run it on Linux operating system. So this was one disadvantage of the AWT framework, and it was heavyweight, as I've discussed about lightweight and heavyweight toolkits earlier, and this was heavyweight, and it took a long time to render the buttons and all the components inside the frame. So considering all these disadvantages, you can say, or drawbacks, Java came up with Swing in 1998. So this was platform independent. That means if you type a code or create a code for the user interface using one code base, and regardless if you run it on Windows or Mac OS or Linux, the look and feel would remain the same. So this was preferred by many companies or app developers, and this was built on top of the AWT package. So you might say that since AWT is no longer needed, why do we need to import it sometimes? So Swing is built on top of the AWT package. So Swing is AWT is not discarded by Java. It is just they have just patched it up with the Swing code base, and it is used for building rich desktop applications and websites. Back in those times, this was like a revolutionary thing. Swing, everyone was on top of the Swing framework because it allowed programmers to code colorful and interactive applications. And note this Swing is no longer updated by Oracle, and it just provides you bug fixes and maintenance. The reason why Oracle does not support Swing is because Oracle has released Java FX in 2008. So as we all know that this 2008, this was the year when a lot of mobile phones were being released and Android OS was being released, and people had access to internet on their mobile phones as well. So developers needed some framework for this, that is for mobile handheld devices like mobiles and tablets, etc. So you can say this was the answer given by Oracle for the developers, that is Java FX was the answer. So this is used in building applications for desktops and websites and handheld devices. It also included features for touchscreen based devices. So when touchscreen mobiles started coming out, this was like mainly used framework. And apart from that, yeah, I think I've covered pretty much everything about the history of thing. And you might say that Java FX is released, why do we need to use Swing? The reason is most of the, what you can say, the applications like Microsoft applications, Adobe Flash, all those desktop applications are built using Java Swing, and people still need to maintain those pre-built, that is earlierly built applications. So for that reason you need Java Swing, you need to learn Java Swing. And if you learn Java Swing, you can pretty much learn any other user interface framework in the future. It is like a base framework that you need to learn as your if you learn it as your first user interface framework, then it is pretty much like you can learn any other thing. Any other framework will be a breeze to learn. It is like learning a gear car and then moving on to automatic. It's the same analogy works here. Now moving on to the next topic, Java Swing, the class hierarchy of Java Swing. So this is the class hierarchy of Java Swing. As you can see, object is the super class and every other class is a child class or subclass from it. Now let us zoom out. Now every component in Swing is called as there is a capital J prefix next to it. So whenever you see J label, J list, J something, that means it is from the Java, it is from the Swing framework. So let us traverse the arrow marks and traverse the classes basically, and let us see hierarchy. So if you need to use let's say a J menu class, so you need to import J component because it needs to extend J component. J components needs to extend component. You can do that by using this line, that is importing the Swing package. You can do that by using import java x dot swing. And let me see what else. So yeah, and coming to containers, a window is a container which can contain like other components. Like let's say window and frame is a type of window. Let's say a frame is a rectangular box inside which you can fill components like button, label, and menu, all those things. So you can call window as a container which can contain other components. But simply put, the only thing you need to know is that every component, that is menu, slider, combo box, table, all that stuff is contained inside the J component package, which you can use by importing the Swing package. Let us see this in the example, which will make it more clear. Now, moving on to the example. Now, before I show you how to code a simple user interface, I'll just show you a sample frame. So this rectangle thing is a sample frame, that is a container object. Inside the container object, you have other containers. That is, this component is called a menu widget, and there's another menu widget. There's a toolbar and a toolbar check. That is, this is nothing but a toolbar with a checkbox. And you also have a panel which is basically a border which contains other containers like button, radio button, item, etc. And you can add a panel caption to that is, you can add a text to your panel. So this is like the basic components, and which you have seen if you have used a normal window application or a mobile app. You must have seen all these stuff. Without you knowing, you must have used all the components, right? So this one is called a slider, and this is a text area where you can just type whatever text you want. And this is called as an item. If you click on the down arrow button, there's a bunch of items popping down, and this is a text field, and this is a text field with a hidden this thing. We basically use this for password, all that stuff, and that is also a component. And there's also a tab component. You can switch between tabs. You can do all this stuff using the Swing framework. Now I'll be creating this user form, the simple user form, with 5 components basically. That is a label, 2 labels, and then 2 text boxes, and then a button which is called as submit. So this is basically a bare bones user form or user interface that I'll be creating. So take a look at this, guys. Remember this. So I'll be coding it in the Eclipse IDE. That is where we usually code Java programs.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Java certification online training mentored by industry experts, the course link of which is given in the description below. Now let's continue with the session.
Let us move on to that. So here I have my Eclipse workspace, and I've created a Java class called as Swing Demo. Now let us move ahead with the creation of that user form. Now I need to create a main class, public static void main string of args. So this line basically creates a main function. So the program execution starts from main function basically. So I've created the main function within the class, and now I have to create a frame. That is, frame is a container which contains other components. So inside the frame I need to add in other components. So first I'll be creating the frame. So in order to create a frame, I have to create a frame object, that is using the JFrame class. JFrame f is equal to new JFrame, and this takes in an argument, that is the name of the frame, what my frame needs to be called. So I'll say that my frame needs to be called as user form. Let us just type in within double quotes. That is the syntax of this. And in order to use the JFrame class, as I've shown in the class hierarchy diagram before, you need to import a package called as Swing. That is basically what this tutorial or this session is about. So I'll be importing that package. You can do that by using this statement: import java x dot swing dot star. Now I have created a frame, right? Now let us just save it and run this program. So now if I look at this, there is nothing to be shown. The program has no error. It has one warning that is not that does not matter. Even though the program does not have any error, that is there is nothing displayed because Swing basically by default puts everything as invisible. So in order to make it visible, you need to use a statement called as you need to use a function called as set visible. So I'll be doing that. So I'll be setting the frame as visible, so it takes in true as argument. So if you put in true, it is visible. If you put in false, then it is not visible. By default it is false. So now if I just save it and run the program, now you can see here in the top left corner, I'll just move it here so that you guys can see it. So this is our frame, but it is like a minimum. It is occupying the most less space as possible. Now, in order for me to set the size of the frame, there is a function called as set size. Let us just do that. Set size, and set size function takes in two arguments, that is the width and the height. So let it be 800 pixels across and let it be 400 pixels below. And now if I just save it and run the program, so this is our user form. It is 800 pixels in width and 400 pixels in length. So this looks like a nice starting point for our example. Okay, now we need to add in wait, let me just run it again. So now we need to add in 5 components, right? If you can remember from the previous slide. So we need one label here, text box here, and a text box here, and then a button saying submit. That is, it takes in username and password and then a submit button. Let us move ahead and code that components. Now first let us add a label. So in order to add a label, we need to use JLabel or class. JLabel, let us call the object as L1 is equal to new JLabel. And let me just save it and run it. So there is nothing visible here. The label is not visible. This is because this statement here has only created the label object. Now in order for it to display on the window or the frame, I need to add this component into the frame. So in order to do that, we need to use this statement f.add. Add is a function basically which takes in the argument. Whichever component you need to add, you need to put that the name of the object inside the parameter. So if I want to add label of this label, so the object is called as L1, so I need to be giving the argument as L1. Now if I just save it and run the program, something's wrong. JLabel L1 is equal to new JLabel. Yeah, let me just save it first. Now if I run it, there is nothing displayed because JLabel takes in an argument, and here I need to type in whatever text I need to display on the label. Here I need to display username, right? So I'll just type in username and I just type in semicolon. And now if I just save it and run this program, here the label username is displayed. And now this is like the default place where Swing displays every component. So let us see how to reposition the label later. Now let me just add. Now we need to add a text field, right? Now let us add a text field. J text field. J text field T. Let us call the object as T1 is equal to new J text field. And here this function takes in the argument. Basically it takes in a number as an argument. The number is the number of characters which you can type inside the text field. So I'll just give it as 20. You can type in 20 characters inside the box. So I've created the text field component. Now if you remember, we need to add this component inside the frame. So I'll just use the add function. So this is going to be f.add of t1. I'll be adding t1 object. And after that, let us just save it and run this code. Now this is bugging out, right? The output is bugging out and there is no text field displayed. This is because by default Swing uses something called as card layout. A card layout is basically, you can imagine a stack of cards. Here card refers to a component. So if you stack a card on top of another card, the bottom card or the first created component or a card will be backside, and the card on top will be displayed every time. So basically this is like the reverse case in Swing. So first I've created username and then I've added the text field, right? So that the text field will be displayed behind username, it won't be displayed. So in order to display the text field also, I'll be using something called as a flow layout. I'll be discarding, I'll not be using the card layout, I'll be using the flow layout. So in order to do that, there is a function called as f.set layout, and inside that I need to give in new flow layout as the argument. In order to use flow layout, I need to import the java.awt.flow layout package. So in total I've imported two, that is the Swing package and then awt.flow package. Now let us see how flow layout works. Let us see flow layout in action. Now if I just save this and run it, the flow layout makes every component come to the middle of the screen. So basically flow layout is like you can say center align in Microsoft Word or PowerPoint. It is like the center align feature in Microsoft Word. Now let me just run it again. Now as you can notice, the text box is visible, right? Now I need to add what is that, password here below the username, and then another text box to type in the password, and then finally I need to add in the button. Now let us just do that. Now I've added label. This is the first label, L1. This is the second, this is the first text box, T1. So I'll just copy and paste these statements. Copy, paste. I'll just call the second label as L2, and the text to be written inside the second label is password, and I'll be adding that label 2 as well into my frame. So let us call it L2. Now I need to add another text field next to the second label, that is password. I'll be copying this statement, pasting this, and I'll call the second text field as T2, and then I'll be adding the T2 object to the frame also. So this statement is for adding T2 object, that is text field 2. Now if I just save this and run it, and let me just resize it so that you guys can see. So there's only one more thing to be added, that is a button which is named as submit, which comes below the password. Now note that using flow layout, that is this statement, helps a lot because it basically by default aligns everything to the center. You can also use something called as a grid layout, and by using grid layout you can just place wherever you want the components, wherever you want. Now let us just add in the last component and we are done with the example. The last component is JButton. JButton, let us call the object as B is equal to new JButton, and it takes in an argument. Basically is the text to be displayed on the button, that is, let us call it as submit. This is capital B, my bad. Now if I just save it and run the program again, let me just resize it. It is not visible because I have not added the button inside the frame. So let me just do that. F.add B, that is button object. If I just save this and run the program again, okay, I have not closed the previous instance, so let me just refresh it, save it, run it. Let me just resize this. Let me just show it to you guys. So we have completed our completed coding our example, that is user form, which basically has 5 components: two labels which is created using this statement L1, and then we have added a text field T1, and then password is a label 2, that is L2, and next to that is another text field, that is T2. Finally, we have added a button object that is created by using this statement, and finally I've added the button inside the frame by using f.add. So I think that is it for the example. And also note that, guys, Java Swing allows it has many functions, basically, like add and JLabel. It also has J text box, J scroll bar. You can basically add any component if you want inside this frame. And also there are functions for changing the color of the text box, or changing the color of the username label, that is username. It also has you can also customize your button. All that stuff you can do in Swing. You just need to Google the functions that is responsible for those actions. You can also change the background of the frame as well. There is a function for that also. You can basically, this is like the bare bones app, and you can basically customize it to your needs by using the Swing package. It has a wide array of functions which you can learn if you're interested in Swing. And thank you for watching the session till the end, guys.
Just a quick info, guys. Intellipaat provides Java certification online training, mentored by industry experts, the course link of which is given in the description below.